Linda,
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. And before going to start your session, I want to introduce you to our audience.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, Robin Williams is a certified information systems auditor and seasoned cybersecurity leader who excels at understanding people and processes behind complex systems. As a single mother, diverse, however, and passionate mentor, she brings both professional discipline and heartfelt wisdom to her work. The fuzzy win emerged from her personal journey of rebuilding and professional expertise, offering single mothers a transformative philosophy. You don't need perfection to win, you just need to start where you are. Robin is committed to empowering women to honor themselves, set boundaries, and embrace progress over perfection. She champions women in leadership and in life. That was a great bio, Robin Williams, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. How's everyone? Whew, this has been so exciting. Did you all see all those fantastic speakers in that resource center with all those QR codes? I'm loving it. Loving it so much. And thanks, Melinda, for that introduction. Whew. Good morning, leaders. I want to start with a question. Can you all see my screen? Let's see. Okay. All right. It's time to reconnect back to you. And this is a call out for busy moms worldwide. But if the shoe fits this morning, I want you to wear it. These next 30 minutes are just for YOU. I want you to relax. I know you've already been enjoying some of these wonderful speakers, and I hope that you've got your phones on airplane mode or turned off or silent so that you can get all of this knowledge, all of this wisdom, all of this transformation that we have for you. This is a sacred space just for you. YOU. What you're about to discover is clarity from where you are right now. What you'll learn is how someone like myself was able to reclaim clarity and reconnect to my life and my career after some significant life events. You'll learn how to recognize patterns that don't serve you or serve your purpose for your career and your family movement, and how to avoid productivity over purpose and develop a focus on your fulfillment. And next, you'll get to your discovery and reconnection using my mom principles. You'll learn how to do that. All right. So I want to start with a question that gets to the heart of why we're all here today, working moms. Why is it that mothers will fight you to the death in support of protecting their kids and anything that their kids may need, but utter no words in support of their own hopes and dreams? Why is that? If you all want to share in the chat, please feel free to. I can't see it right now, but I'll take a look as soon as I can. Why do we do that? We are the world's greatest advocates for everyone else. Today, we're going to learn how to be the greatest, how to become the greatest advocate for ourselves. All right, before I get into the how, do I have your permission to share with you a bit of my story? Okay. So, I grew up in DC, raised by a single mom who was a Navy civilian secretary. I saw the struggle. I saw the long hours and the invisible load that she carried long before I had a name for it. I promised myself that I would break the cycle. I didn't want to repeat that. She was tired all the time and overextended. And from high school to college, I built a solid plan for my career. I became a certified information systems auditor and I started traveling all over the world. And I'm so grateful for all of the blessings and opportunities that I had early on. I was able to buy a house and I got married and I had my beautiful daughter. She's the biggest blessing in my whole life. And from the outside, I was killing the game. I was checking all the boxes, everything that I had on my list. And I thought that that was what I was supposed to want. And that was how I was going to be successful. You all recognize this beautiful lady at all? That's us, right? Working moms, doing it all, checking the boxes. But then life started adding layers to my job description that I didn't hadn't planned on. Between 30 and 35, I became the sole caregiver for my mom when she had a stroke out of town. And I was gone for 6 weeks, leaving behind my daughter, my 4-year old, with a husband who was soon going to be leaving town. They had to fend for themselves. And the trauma of that stroke and the guilt that I felt having to leave my family put me in a fog that didn't lift for years. I was physically present, but emotionally, I was on autopilot. And although I felt happy as a mom and a caregiver and I loved my job, I was numb and disconnected and just going through the motions in every role that I served. What does that look like? It looks like a list of roles that never ends. And some of you may be understand that even now. Off the clock, we're mom, we're maybe wife or companion, we're the babysitter, we're the maid, we're the secretary, we're the counselor, we're the nurse, we're the chauffeur, we're the hall monitor, we're the you name it, designer, maybe even the police. We carry the mental, emotional, and the logistical labor for an entire ecosystem. And at work, when we're hired at low and mid career levels, we're playing the role again of, we got to be our own secretaries. We have to do some of our own work for public relations and be our own travel agents when we're at work, right? So we're convinced that we're not doing enough while we're actually doing the work at home and at work of 10 people. And then we treat exhaustion as normal when it's actually a signal that our system needs a redesign. That's the checklists and the hats and the fog. My wake up call came when I had to uncheck my first box. My marriage, after 11 years, ended. And unfortunately, that was a huge, huge life adjustment for me. I don't wish divorce on my worst enemy, and I gave it my all. But I had to come to terms with what was happening. Whew. On top of that, as I was doing the divorce, I had a car accident and I was lucky to walk away with my life. I thought I was okay and I walked around for days after the accident, not even realizing I was injured because of that fog. And it only got worse. I had to focus on my healing. I had to learn to just slow down and start to pay attention to my body and to what was going on. I had to take a good long long, hard look in the mirror. And I realized that while I was super mom and the selfless workaholic, I had completely lost myself. Although it wasn't clear at first, I realized that progress doesn't require perfection, even with everything that was going on. It just requires some movement. And I had to stop fighting the process and start trusting the winding road. And I decided that my well being was no longer an indulgence, it was the foundation for my reconnection back to who I truly was. So, the turning point wasn't the accident, it was the decision that I made. And please understand, moms and whoever the shoe fits, this is something that no one else can do but you. You have got to find the courage to do it and do it now. But know that it's just a baby step. I decided to get grounded and to reconnect to my own identity, to become the person that I needed most. I started taking what? Say it with me in the chat. Baby steps. That's right. That's why you see that little tricycle there on the screen. Whew. I leaned into what I call the fuzzy one philosophy. And I realized that my mom's health setbacks and my own divorce were detours, not dead ends. They were data and not failure. I used those experiences to learn how to hold space for my family and others. And that eventually led to me becoming a better mom, a better caregiver, and a better leader at work in the cybersecurity and IT audit field. I moved from overextended and suffering on one side of the bridge to healing and growth and some prosperity on the other side. I learned that I didn't need total clarity to change my life. I just needed to move. Just a little story here. I remember when I was recovering from my injury at home, my hairdresser offered to come to me to get my hair done because I wasn't able to drive. And I was so grateful for that opportunity. And when she got there and she saw that I couldn't move and I had to sit still, I couldn't work, she said to me something that stayed with me for many, forever. She said, sometimes you have to take things 1 minute at a time or 1 hour at a time, not just a day at a time, but you have to take things more slowly. And so that was when I realized baby steps are enough. And based on my journey from stagnant and foggy to reconnected, I want to share what helped me to get growing and get moving so that I showed up and healed 1 day at a time or 1 hour at a time. The first thing is, I made the mistake of assuming I was stuck and failing in my career, right? And that's when I learned that progress comes in three ways: linear, that's a list; lateral, that's a pivot; and internal, that's when you have to have some grit to go with it, right? And I realized this because I would go for a promotion at work sometimes and I would do my best to be ready, but I wouldn't get it. And I would walk away and I would sulk. And I kept telling myself I wasn't ready. I must not be ready for that job to be a manager. It was just too much bureaucracy, too much drama, too much headache. That's what I would say. But when I took time to look back, I saw my progress. I did a self assessment and I realized that I was already showing up and being a leader. I was showing up when I would help and encourage the juniors who were starting. They would come aboard and I would encourage them to stay present and get involved and make sure that they were getting feedback. So it's when you look back and you self assess that you can see that you're not ever stuck and you're not ever failing. You are making progress. And when I redefined my career progress as data instead of failing, I eventually got that promotion. So the second thing that I know or that I realized was that I was making the mistake of confusing stability with fulfillment. And you need both to fuel a dream. Stability is only half that beautiful cup of coffee that you see there. Stability is the responsibilities that need to get done, right? Side note, maybe not all of those things on your list of responsibilities are yours. Passion is the top half of that cup with that beautiful, beautiful image that I could never make myself. I got some help with Copilot, guys. But know that passion is the other half, and no one can fill that top half of the cup but you. You're the only one. Fulfillment is a path that has twists and turns and all the kinds of progress that we just talked about. And it leads to a destination you're happy to arrive at. So I'm going to ask you, and this is what I had to ask myself, if no one needed you, would you still want to be the you that you are right now? Think about that. Now, once I made the decision that I needed more and that I wanted to be the person that I needed most, how do you stay on the path? How do you ensure that your winding way forward doesn't lead you back to the fuzziest part of your fuzzy when? I want to share a framework that you will see every time you look in the mirror, every time your child calls your name, unless you're dad, and every time you walk through the front door, or maybe even not a parent yet. It's a word you hear 100 times a day if you're a working mom. But today, I want to give it back to you. These are the mom principles. And I call them that because we are going to focus on my own movement or your own movement. So let's look at the M. The M is to minimize the load. And this will help transform you to create a habit of release, right? What do I mean by minimize the load? I want you to identify and release a person, a place, or a thing that's not serving you well because it's too heavy. It drains your energy. And sometimes in our days, we need to let that go, right? Let that thing go. Trust what your gut is telling you when you are drained by a thing or by an event or maybe even a person, right? Reclaiming your identity starts with minimizing the load that was never meant for you to carry alone so you can move on toward your own destiny. The O in the mom principle is one non negotiable on your to do list. And this will create a habit of purpose. On your list of things to do for the day, decide on one thing that you won't compromise. Preferably as something just for you, but if not, it must be something that's powerfully intentional for your growth or for your good. This is your absolute anchor for the day. And then the last M in our mom principles, my 10 minutes, the habit of intention. So we've got a habit of releasing something, a habit of having purpose in every day, and a habit of intention now. My 10 minutes somewhere in your day is a commitment back to you. I don't care if it's 10 extra minutes in the bathroom with the door closed. Everybody thinks you're doing something, but you just breathing in there. Or maybe you've dropped off the kids and they don't know that you're not working today. You have something else planned just for you, and you can just take your 10 minutes before you start whatever that thing is. Whatever it is, it's 10 minutes of intention just for you. This is about showing up consistently for yourself with intention every single day. These aren't just habits, these are your mom principles. They're the foundation of what we're going to call for you my own movement. So we've got MOM, two different ways, something you can remember and hold on to so that you don't leave this Zoom the same way you came. They ensure that your life isn't just stable, but deeply fulfilled, no matter how slowly that fulfillment unfolds. That doesn't matter. It's a fuzzy win every time. So now it's your turn to ask yourself, how much longer are you willing to move forward with just the bottom half of that cup? Because only you can fill the top part of that cup. Only you. You've learned about what needs to go and the principles that will sustain you over time. You've seen how someone like myself, Supermom, who was in a fog for a long time, can reconnect back to her true self and redesign her life for some wins. And now it's time for a new question. Again, how much longer are you willing to continue with just the bottom half of that cup? You know enough to begin taking a new step today. You don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to move. We need you at the table, not just as the great leaders for a global powerhouse. That's what we have here today, great leaders in a global powerhouse, but also as the women standing in their own power right now and realizing the importance and the necessity of honoring their true selves while they're raising the next generation of world leaders. Don't leave the same way you came to this conference. Take some baby steps now, right now. So, just to leave you with something, I want to make sure you have my free gift. So, there is a link for that free gift. And I want to thank you for joining me. And I want you to enjoy every one of these sessions for the remainder of this conference. It is all for you and your benefit. Have a great day.
Yes, Robin. Hello.
Yes. Hi, Melinda.
Yeah, thank you so much for valuable time today. It was a very informative session. And we have a question from our audience, Robin.
Yes, yes. I am so sorry. I was supposed to say that I left some time for questions.
Yeah. How can working mothers overcome perfectionism?
What I share today that answers that question is what I call the look back. And if you look back at the things that you've accomplished, I want you to look back at how those accomplishments happened and how you may have beat yourself up before something happened. like that promotion that I mentioned, like maybe you were in a job and you weren't sure, if you could get that promotion, but maybe you put in the time and you got that certification, or maybe you put in the time and you leaned into listening somewhere, and eventually you did actually accomplish that next step that you had. But it wasn't perfect when you did it, and it won't be perfect the next time either. Each step that we take has its own ups and downs, and it's just in taking the next step that you release that perfectionism. It's when you stop, what I call, stop trying to have everything before you leave the house. I used to be that person. I would head to church with my daughter and me, and I would try to grab everything in the diaper bag when she was little. I had to have the lotion, and I had to have 5 diapers and everything. And after one time I did that, and we got to church, and everybody was headed out. I didn't even make it in. That's how late I was. And I sat in that car and I really thought about it. And my daughter was like, "What happened, mommy? I thought we were going to church," right? She didn't know what was going on. She didn't care about me trying to make sure I had everything in the bag. She she thought we were doing the thing, and we didn't get to because of me. And I stopped and I realized sometimes already is enough. Grab what you need and just walk out the door. I still tell myself that to this day. So just learning to stop before you go down that rabbit hole, because you're going to get the thing done. As long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you will accomplish whatever you set out to. That's what I've found. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. And we have one more question, Robin. What is the first step to reconnecting with yourself?
Whew. The first step that I recommend, and it is definitely the first step that I did, was that non-negotiable, the O and the mom principle. I remember, when I got that divorce, I felt like a complete and utter failure. Complete and utter failure. I had to uncheck that box and that role, that identity. And only when I started to just do a little bit of cleaning, I had to clean up the room that my that was my ex-husband's office. And I would go in there, just cracking the door took courage. Remember, I told y'all you got to have a little courage. Crack the door open, and I would just do one bookshelf. And every time I did just one bookshelf or one drawer, I might have shed some tears, but I left gaining just a little bit more clarity about where I was meant to be going. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it's only because I moved that I got that. And so that's what I say. That's how you take that first
Yeah.
step. You have to have courage. Pick a spot. Pick the thing that's the hardest to do, and just start with one little teeny baby step for that thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Robin. We got your answers, and yours was an inspiring journey. And thank you so much for your valuable time today. And please be on the backstage and join the next session, Robin.
I certainly will. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Melinda, and
Thank
everyone else
you.
for attending.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.